So, three words should stick out to everyone when Donald Trump mused about a third term to NBC's Kristen Welker. He explicitly said, "I'm not joking." And yet, here's how Republican leaders in Congress reacted today.
You know, you see it like with Greenland, like with Panama Canal. There's a lot of things the president talks about. Ultimately, it gets people talking and addresses some other issues, too.
Would you support changing the Constitution to allow him?
There's no proposal to change the Constitution right now.
Do you believe that Donald Trump can serve in a third term?
Not without a change in the Constitution.
What do you make of him continuing to bring up the possibility of that happening?
Well, I mean, I think that you guys keep asking the question, and I think he's probably having some fun with it, probably messing with it.
Just messing with us, guys. It's all a joke. I mean, maybe they somehow missed that an actual resolution has been introduced by Republican Congressman Andy Ogles to amend the Constitution to allow Donald Trump to be elected to a third term. But if they really think it's such a ridiculous notion, then they should have no trouble signing on to the measure introduced by Congressman Dan Goldman, reaffirming support for the 22nd Amendment, right? I'm sure he'd welcome co-signers, Republicans too. Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman of New York. It's good to see you. So many things to talk to you about, but I want to start here because on the 22nd Amendment, you proposed this resolution, presumably because you didn't think it was a joke, even though you don't want to get your chain pulled, as Rachel Maddow would say, but you don't think it's a joke, do you?
No, I first introduced it in November, right after he said it to the Republican conference. They all came out, oh, he's joking, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
But I've unfortunately spent enough time studying Donald Trump to know that he's not a comedian. He doesn't joke. And he has a very set MO, which is to float a crazy idea, claim that he's joking, have some sycophantish Republican start to run with it, like in this case, Representative Ogles. And then all of a sudden it becomes normalized and socialized, and that's how he moves it forward. He did it with self-pardoning back in 2018. And this is just yet more of his effort to break our democracy. That is what he's trying to do. He is trying to undermine the very fabric and the foundation of our democracy, pardoning the January 6th defendants, firing all of the inspectors general, firing all of the prosecutors and agents, going after so much of what using the Department of Justice to weaponize it both in favor of his allies and against his enemies. This is what our country is founded on. This is the rules-based order, the rule of law. And this is a massive effort, and it's very clear, to take down our democracy. And the ultimate result for him, the end game, is for him to have another term. And all of this is leading up to that.
You know, we really struggled with how much do we talk about this because he wants to change the subject. And I know that, and we know that. But to your point, he also does this thing where something is floated. It seems insane. It's like what people would follow him. And then the Republican caucus, most of them follow him. So it's important to talk about it. Let me ask you about one of the theories thrown out there, because you were also an excellent lawyer in addition to being a member of Congress. The one that he could run as Vance's vice president in 2028 and then have them flip.
I mean, it's preposterous.
Not allowed for, according to the Constitution, I assume you're saying.
Well, actually, constitutionally, I think that's an interesting question. I don't want to opine on it. But the reality is, imagine how that would happen, right? So J.D. Vance runs with Donald Trump as his vice president, saying, I'm going to resign as soon as I become president. Is preposterous. I mean, this is silly stuff they're talking about. And look, you could say what you want about Andy Ogles, but his resolution was not to express support for Donald Trump running for a third term under the current 22nd Amendment. His resolution is a resolution to change the Constitution. Mm-hmm. So even he believes that you have to change the Constitution in order for Donald Trump to have a third term. I don't think, by the way, that he's imagining a democratic election for his third term. He is trying to be Vladimir Putin. And we all know Vladimir Putin is in a democracy. He runs for election. It's a bogus election. But that's Donald Trump's goal. That's sort of his the ideal for who he could become, which is to ostensibly have an election, but not really. And that's where he's heading.
How does he do that legally?
No good way, no legal way, but he's attacking our judges. He is defying, on the margins, court orders. We're 2 months in. I mean, he's got 3 more years. And if people don't stand up for what is right, for our democracy, for our rule of law, and I mean everything, not just judges, but law firms, but universities, everywhere across the board, if the people don't stand up, if everyone doesn't say, I'm not going to be bullied by this person who is anti-democratic and is extorting every single foundational democratic institution of this country, then we will be heading towards that outcome.
The tone you have here is similar to what we're hearing from Senator Cory Booker. We started the show by showing a clip of him on the floor. He said he's going to be there as long as he can. He's young. I've run with him. He's healthy. We'll see how long he can do it. But I want to play a clip of that and talk a little bit about that.
I rise with the intention of getting in some good trouble. I rise with the intention of disrupting the normal business of the United States Senate for as long as I am physically able. I rise tonight because I believe sincerely that our country is in crisis. The threats to American people and American democracy are grave and urgent, and we all must do more. We all must do more against them. I believe generations from now will look back at this moment and have a single question. Where were you?
I think this is powerful because I think a lot of Democrats are trying to figure out what to do right now, right? You're in the minority in the House and the Senate, and you're hearing an urgency from him, you're hearing an urgency from you. Do you think that's the kind of newer tactics people should look for?
Absolutely. I think we have to recognize what is going on. And I think that Senator Booker just did there in that clip and is going to really lay down and explain exactly what is going on and why it's so dangerous. You know, you and I talked about Project 2025 in the lead up to the election, and you heard a lot of people say, oh, we survived the first term, it's not so bad. He is implementing Project 2025 at a rapid pace. And if people don't recognize what he is trying to do now, then they will not stand up for our democracy. And before you know it, he has usurped government power. He's already taken all of Article 1 power from the congressional Republicans. He's now going after the judiciary, which is the last check and balance. I have a hearing tomorrow on impeaching judges in the Judiciary Committee. And so this is his effort to whittle away all of our institutions. He's put his political hacks at the heads of the most important agencies that we have to do his bidding. So Senator Booker is calling the alarm that, hey, this is happening. What Project 2025, when it was theoretical, it is happening now. It's time to understand the urgency of the moment and to do everything that everyone, senators, members of Congress, the American people can do.